Hello, my name is Kiriath. It's Thursday, which means it's time to look at a new plastic Horus Heresy model. So here we go, the new plastic Praetor for Horus Heresy that is going to be in the box that they have kind of announced. They've talked about that it's going to be a thing, but they haven't shown any complete images as to what it will contain. And I quite like this. I like this a little bit more than the Cataphracti Praetor that didn't really look like it was a Cataphracti Praetor. The one that looked like a Great Chaos Lord. This is kind of similar in a way. There is a lot of extra detail on this lad. There's a lot of extra ornamentation. There's a lot going on. This, I think, looks decent. The weird thing is that the big draw and the way they're pushing it is beakies, right? They've gone for beakies. They've gone for that nice nostalgia push. And so for this Praetor, we have another beaky. We have Mark 6 armour, but it's Artificer armour. And Artificer armour is really cool because you can add a bunch of extra details and you can make it fancier, give it a bit of nice trim and filigree and the like. And generally speaking, Artificer armour is just really cool as a concept. Something that is taken and made so much better and made it more unique and more interesting. But in this specific instance, for some reason, I don't know whether it's just me, it probably is, right? It probably is just me. It feels like the fact that it's Artificer armour, with the added stuff that's been put onto it, has kind of made it almost not recognisably Mark 6 at all. It feels like it's obscured it a lot more. Honestly, if it wasn't for the helmet, I wouldn't necessarily pick up on this being Mark 6 armour. It's very, very, ornamented compared to the rest of it. And of course the thing is, Praetors are supposed to be a cut above, right? They should have some ornamentation. They need to stand out from your line troops. They need to be a figurehead. They need to be just a bit more complex than your standard model. It does suit them. But I think in some cases you can kind of obscure what the base of the Praetor is, and I think this is one of those situations. Now, all that being said, I do like the extra details. I don't think they've gone too far with it necessarily. It's not completely in your face. It's not like an eyesore status. It's not like it's completely. It's not like it's totally cluttered it. It still looks good. I like the cloak on it. The sword is. That's a cool sword. I like that sword a lot. The Volkite pistol is, of course, excellent because, how could you not like Volkite? How could you not like it? Everyone loves Volkite. I think this is a good-looking lad. Of course, he's painted yellow, which is a downside. I will say, of all the the bare heads, that has got to be one of my least favourites. That is right up there as just... no, I just would not use that at all. It would be the helmet every single time. And of course, I'm biased. I prefer helmets on models far more than bare heads. But I think that just looks better. I think it looks more reasonable. I think it suits the rest of the model better. Yeah, no. I'm a big fan of a good moustache. Don't get me wrong, I like a good moustache. But that extra hair coming out the back of the crest, the way that the crest is still on there, but it means it's got to be held on with a half helm style thing. The spikes coming out of that half helm, I don't know. That feels like it adds a whole extra layer of complexity that is just flat out not needed. It just doesn't look right to me. It also. This is a generic Praetor. It's not an Imperial Fist Praetor. It's one that you will be using just for any legion. It says right there, comes with a choice of heads and looks great in any colour. An important quality, given this fellow is not bound to any one legion. Maybe I've built up an image of certain legions in my head, but that head doesn't feel suitable for any number of legions. I can't imagine Raven Guard having a Raven Guard character having that head. I can't imagine Night Lords having that head. For some reason that screams Imperial Fist or Ultramarine to me. It absolutely screams that. I just can't picture that on any other legion's colours. It just doesn't seem to suit. Whereas the Beaky, I mean, the beaky will just fit in anything, won't it? It's just a helmet. It's a lot less... There's a lot less personality attached to it, and when you've got something that is supposed to just be generic, it's supposed to be for every legion, I think having, in a weird way, less personality is better when that bit of personality doesn't point towards a specific legion. Of course, that is all down to interpretation, right? You could be looking at that and going, well, actually, that just doesn't look like it would fit with anything either. You may be looking at that and actually thinking to yourself, no, that bear head would work with any of them. And that's totally fine. That's totally fair. I'm not going to say you're wrong for that. That's just a personal interpretation. My own personal bias is what I managed to pick up somehow. I don't know. I couldn't really explain why it doesn't feel like that's not suitable for a bunch of different legions. I mean, it could be absolute nonsense. Probably is absolute nonsense. What difference would it make? And yet, no one ever said human beings were rational, did they? So yeah, overall, I do like this. I do like it. It's not too complex. It's not too over the top. I do think a lot of the style of the Mark 6 armor is kind of like taken away from the ornamentation that's on there, even though it's not too over the top or ostentatious. It's overall pretty decent. It's pretty decent. I will say I don't know whether it's just like the added extra stuff or the cloak. It feels really tall, this thing, which is a weird thing to say because there's nothing to compare it to directly. I don't like this just feels like a Primaris sized marine, and I think it's probably like the crest, the old brush on the head there is adding quite a bit of height, and of course he's got what looks to be a two-handed sword raised really high up, which will of course kind of impact how tall it looks. But it looks like it's fully Primaris size to me. And I'm sure it won't be. I'm sure it'll be slightly shorter than that, but still. Looks like he's got some chunk on him. And of course he's standing on a rock, because what else are you supposed to stand on? The year is 30,000. Only rocks litter the ground, nothing else. Although there is a bit of rebar going through it. So in fairness, he's standing on like concrete. But it's still rock, isn't it, basically? If we just get right down to it, it's all rock. It's rocks all the way down. Anyway, what do you think of this lad? Like him? Don't like him? Think he only works for certain legions, and if so, which ones? And what do you make of the bear head? Are you actually a fan of that, and I'm being too harsh on it? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon videos, subscribe, all that stuff. Click if you like, don't click if you don't want to. And as always, there's an affiliate link for Element Games in the description, which you can use to support the channel if you'd like. There's also one for Noble Knight Games if you're in the US. I leave it in your capable hands. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.